So we'll kind of just, kind of start off here between maybe where the last album, I know it was 2019 that the last album came out. Maybe give us an update, what the band has been doing between that and, now the recording of the new album.
Yeah, so between 2019 and 2023, what a time frame.
Yeah, for sure.
We toured a lot in 2019 and sort of right around the time of Golden Gray coming out. We toured with Deaf Heaven, which was I think my one of my favorite tours we've ever done because it was just like this great, it's just a great night of music and it was really fun to tour with those guys. Um, we toured Europe. We did a 3 month long European run opening for a band. So we did a lot of touring, but we didn't really do like a proper like headline tour for that album. But that kind of got, taken over by the pandemic times. So
Right.
we spent that period of time working independently from our homes or whatever, like everybody did, and kind of communicating via the web and Dropbox and stuff like this, as best as we could until we were able to get together and start recording Stone. And then that took the better part of the next 3 years to complete. We were able to start touring a bit at, around 2021, I guess, end of 21. We did the Your Baroness tour, which was a tour where folks could upon buying a ticket, you could vote for the songs you wanted to hear in
Mm.
the set lists that night. So that was really fun. We ended up doing like 2.5 to 3 hour long sets every night. So we did, two separate legs of that and then went to Europe and came back home, toured with Lamb of God, and then finished the album. Sorry,
Cool.
that's
Yeah.
a long answer to your
Yeah,
question.
oh no, that's totally fine. What was it like, for you as a player, having to sort of have all these songs on deck for what possibly was being voted for?
That was awesome because I like growing up or just in my, early college days is kind of when I discovered Baroness, and
Mm,
I was a big fan. I discovered the band on the Yellow and Green record. So to me, it was really fun because I was like, oh, I love these songs, and they were kind of like ingrained. There's certain bands where it's like you might not know how to play the song immediately, but the arrangement's kind of ingrained in you,
sure.
and
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
lyrics and just the overall like emotional connection is kind of there. So for me, I really liked the process of going back and be like, oh, I love this song and whatever. And I think it kind of helped inform the kind of the direction of Stone, as far as like the parts that weren't finished being recorded yet. When we went back to the album after doing that tour and kind of, to be like, all right, what else needs to be done? We kind of covered the entire catalog of Baroness. It was kind of cool to like maybe revisit some like um, themes or commonalities, or kind of figure out like, well, what's missing out of this whole catalog? Is there any like stone that has not been unturned? Pun intended.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was a super fun process.
That's awesome. So, yeah, let's talk a little bit more about the recording of it. Were you guys writing mostly during that 3 years? Where stuff was like chaos around the world, or were this, you were just kind of maybe shooting ideas, and then you're like, hey, let's go into the studio now that we can get back out there and tour, or that type of thing.
Kind of both. There's a lot of shooting ideas around. What I love about being in Baroness is all four of us, like everyone's like really positive and motivated, and like I feel like I feed off of the energy of like the motivation of my bandmates. And so it's cool. We would just be like, all right, every Friday we're gonna like try to communicate so whatever on Zoom or what have you, and
Mhm.
just everybody like kind of send some file, do some file sharing of like things you worked on that week. Doesn't have to be like super developed, or it can just be a cool sound or a texture or a riff or whatever. And we did that for like a few months, and then that process starts turning into like, well, this thing from 3 weeks ago kind of goes with this other groove idea that Seb sent or whatever. So things start to come together in that way, and we weren't finished writing the album, when we decided to go into the studio setting, we just thought, all right, now it's enough ideas bouncing around. It's time to get together and like see what we can really like. Can the album become
Right.
more realized? Can these like ideas turn into like full songs? And
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. So now you guys all work collectively as a group then, or is there's not just one person that's sort of solely writing the music and then everybody sort of brings in their own flavor to it?
I feel like it's a group, like a group effort, you know. Um, John at the end of the day is gonna have the final say, or like the kind of the strongest idea of the direction. We can all just bring things to the table and work on them together. But that was something I was kind of surprised at, like joining Baroness. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if it would be like such a democratic process. So I was like
Sure.
happy that it was, and it wasn't just like, all right, here, do this or whatever. Yeah.
Right. Right. Now, with this being your second album with the band, was there something or maybe a couple things that you were sort of had in your mind that you wanted to do that maybe you weren't able to do with your first recording with the band?
Yeah, I think a lot of this, like for me as a guitar player, there's a lot on this album that I was happy to be able to explore that the last album just as a whole didn't call for it. As the
Mhm.
songs are being developed, it's like, all right, these songs aren't asking for, you know, whatever it is. Maybe it's like a super chuggy guitar part. It's like, well, this song's asking for more of a, atmospheric blanket or something like that.
Mm.
So yeah, there's a lot of things for me as a guitarist that I felt like I was able to explore more this time, which was really exciting. And then I was happy to have the experience of the process of doing Golden Gray going into this one, because I feel like it really informed a lot of like writing decisions and just like ways that I could complement things that John was doing, because we went through this whole process of
Sure.
kind of doing this more, a little more experimental album, So
Mhm. So so what how do you sort of approach your pieces when you're contributing to the songs? I mean, is it something you sort of come in with maybe your own idea, have a few more of your own ideas laid in, or do you play off maybe John's pieces or other players in the band? How does that work for you?
feel like it's both. Like I can bring things to the table, riffs or progressions, whatever, some like vocal melodies,
Mm,
some like lyrics here and there. John and I like work really closely together, so we play guitar together a lot. So it's easy to like kind of feed off of each other. And I feel like with so much touring and like so much experience like in the studio together, it's like I can kind of like anticipate like directions he's going to take, and so I feel like we know just how to complement each other, from a guitar and a vocal like standpoint. So yeah, and we just like we live in the same city. We're able to just like hang a lot and
yeah.
like play a lot of music
Yeah.
together, which is really cool.
Yeah. Now, do you guys discuss maybe tones that you're going for and maybe, effects wise and all that? Or is that just something, is that more of a post-production type
No, that's just like the most chaotic
thing?
thing. Yeah, no, it's not like all right, this is gonna have this tone. That is just like in the moment, like find something that strikes you or something that's like this is undeniably like a cool sound, works for the part, suits the song, like whatever. And then it's just like the process of like what is going to highlight the main uh riff or the main melody, or what's going to be the best sound for like a harmonic part that's maybe going to support the main part or whatever. So yeah, that's just like a chaotic, sometimes throw and go, like just see what sounds good. We have this has to be so insufferable for Nick and Sebastian to deal with. We have this thing called the motherboard, and
Oh gosh.
I don't know the dimensions of it. It's a huge piece of like just plywood that we screwed handles onto. That it's kind of like there could be a John half and a half for me, and it's just like however many pedals we can just fill on there in like any heinous order, doesn't matter, like just to like try things.
That's
But yeah,
awesome.
somebody's constantly like tripping over it or unplugging it or
Yeah,
whatever.
I think every guitar player goes through that point where they're like, "Oh, let's put all my pedals on one giant board
Turn them all on, yeah.
and
It's
turn them
like
all on and see what happens."
it's a lot of like just because we can, like, should we? Like
Yeah, yeah. But that's when the coolest stuff tends to happen. So, but
totally.
so now the title. First album to really not feature a traditional color as the title. It's now called, what you said before, it's called Stone. Was that something you guys were like, let's not, let's do something totally different this time? Or
No, there was like definitely conversations like throughout. We had some funny like working titles. Maybe we'll call it this or that. We had some ideas where it could be in the color vein, but it wasn't until like really like the very very end of the not even the writing and recording process, but like we had gotten it like mixed, mastered, like everything, and then it started becoming more clear that maybe Golden Gray would be a good proper end to that cycle. Like to me, it felt like a great bookend to that kind of era, and it
sure,
felt refreshing, and the album feels different enough in many ways that it'd be like, all right, let's kind of do something new. And um, Stone is a big like lyrical theme throughout the album. There was a couple words that we had kind of floating around, and that was the one that just kind of summed up the kind of emotional weight of the record the best. So
cool. Now, Last Word, I believe, is the first single, correct?
yeah,
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that song, maybe how you guys ended up choosing it, or maybe what made it stand out?
like choosing it to be the first.
Yeah, to be the first one to say, "Hey, this is the Stone album."
Yeah, it was initially not meant to be Last Word, and then um, just having a few more listens and getting some outside ears on it as well. That's what we ended up going with because it kind of encompasses a lot of elements of the album in one song. It has like it's heavy. It has, I think, a really catchy like melody and chorus and everything. And then the end section, I think, is like a really important part of something that we do like in a live setting and that we kind of explored on the last record, where there's kind of like these extended endings where we're kind of exploring like space and tones and kind of like sonic uh you know explorations. So
Sure.
that I think is a big part of what we do as a band, live and in the studio. So to have that tacked on the song with big chorus, riffs, guitar solo, it just was like, all right, this is a high energy song, and this kind of like sums up a lot of elements of who we are and what this album is. So
Sure. Now, do you find it as an artist picking one song to sort of be the lead for a group of songs to be kind of hard, especially since you've worked, you put in so much time on each one. It's like picking a favorite kid, I would assume.
totally, yeah, it's really really hard. I was like partial. I was like hoping we would go with that one because like I just think it's like high energy. I like it a lot, and
Mm,
it's like really fun to make that song. It's fun to make them all. That one's just like I think it's cool. It's really hard to pick the one that should go out first and be like that first impression. Sometimes it's good to get outside ears on it too because we're so in it. It's like you know
mm.
kind of hard to make that call, but yeah.
Awesome. So you guys have a fall tour coming up. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Maybe who you've got going out with you and sort of some of the plans you have for that.
Yeah, we're going on the Sweet Oblivion tour starting in October. We kind of hit the whole US. We get up into Canada. We have some amazing bands joining us on the whole tour, sort of like regionally throughout. So it's not like one or two bands the entire tour. It's going to be like changing per, regional pocket as we go through the US. So that's super exciting. It's a lot of bands that John and we haven't been on tour all year since last September. So we've been home, working on and finishing the album for the better part of this year. So being in one place for a year, we get, an opportunity to go out and see shows and see local bands and see a lot of bands that are on tour. So the majority of bands joining us on this tour are ones we've like been able to go see in this time that we've been home. So really, really looking forward to kind of sharing a lot of great evenings with all.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I've got two more questions. The first one is going to be, now I was at NAMM before everything went crazy, and they had a giant poster of you on the wall in the Fender section, but no signature guitar. When are we getting signature guitar?
I'm down anytime.
I think Michael and those guys over there got to get working on that.
Let's do it. Yeah. I love my Telecaster. The Telecaster that I play is actually John's. It's like an all-white American Pro 1 Telecaster from probably around 2017, I guess. Is that era of, now they're on the American Pro 2s, which are have a little bit different specs. But yeah, one night we were playing a show with Def Heaven at the Wiltern in LA, and he was like, "Do you want to try this Telly?" And I was like, "Yeah." I had a G&L 1992 ASAC Classic, and that was like my main guitar. And I was like, "Yeah, I'll try it."
Some similarities there.
Yeah, very similar. I got the guitar used, so somebody had replaced the bridge pickup with a Fender N3 like noiseless pickup. So yeah, I mean I love that guitar. I use it mostly for like our more down-tuned stuff. But yeah, I tried it that night and I haven't given it back.
That's what
we joke about it a lot. But yeah, it's like shared custody. But John's always like, I can never take it back. So he's cool about it.
Hopefully they will set you up with something here soon. Maybe once this album takes off.
Let's do it.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. So then to just kind of wrap up, maybe social media, best spot to follow those in the band and yourself with stuff, new dates or things like that as they come out.
Absolutely. Online, we're Your Baroness. So you can find us on Your Baroness on Instagram and Facebook and all that good stuff. We have a TikTok. I'm not real good at using it. But if someone cares to look us up on there, it is out there. And then, yeah, we're all on Instagram just our names, pretty much. We'll get you there. Yeah, we're always sharing, not only tour related stuff, but just other whatever musical practicing we're getting into. So yeah.
Great. Excellent, Gene. Well, thanks so much for your time. It's been great talking with you. And I hopefully will be able to catch one of the live dates and get to see and hear the album in a live setting. It'll be awesome.
Can't wait. We're really, really looking forward to it. So yeah, hopefully we'll have to hang in person.
Yes, for sure. Let's.
Awesome.
I'm going to mark that down to do that.
Cool. All right.
All right.